All right, everybody, welcome back to the Blue Lake City Council meeting. Give you a moment to quiet down. All right, moving on to item number 14, the one everyone's here for. Provide direction to the staff regarding potential cannabis special event. City Manager Short, would you like to fill us in?
I will.
Great.
So I just want to point out that staff is not asking you to approve this. What we are looking for is some direction on size, how much closure of roads we would be willing to consider, just it's sort of like big picture. I don't want to delve down into where's the parking going to be and how are we going to deal with all of the conditions. This is really more of a big picture look I want you to have on it. How expansive is this event going to be for a really small town with not a lot of staff? So just to give you some background, Humboldt Green Events LLC, they're the organizer for CanFest each year. They've done it all of the years. On February 3rd, I started getting texts about the fact that there was this promotional poster out there that CanFest was going to be in Blue Lake. It was going to be on September 11th through 13th. I had not seen anything. I asked around. Nobody knew anything about it. It came to light fairly quickly that Del Arte was involved in it. And so I contacted Noah and Artemis that I had met with a couple weeks before to find out what is this. And so we set up a meeting. They came and Steve came and Cash came. Andy Jones was there. And also Glenn was with us, right? And this is Emily Woods. She's our Parks and Rec director. So we all kind of sat at a table and talked about, okay, what is this? Steve started presenting kind of his ideas. He has 3 concepts, I'll say, and he has kind of a preference for them. So the first concept he had was that he wanted to hold CanFest at Del Arte itself. So he wants to use both the building and the exterior part of the property. And then he also wants to block off quite a few city streets that surround Del Arte. And I made a little aerial map based on the map that he had provided to me to kind of give you a feel for how big that area is. And you can see the red line that goes around. You can see he's picking up the Lager Bar. He's coming clear down past the parking lot of the Mad River Grange to Vance there where we have access to the apartments at. He wants to close Railroad, part of, what would that be, 2nd Street? No, G Street. He wants to cover Town Square. He wants to close 1st Avenue, and he wants to close H Street. And so that's kind of the very biggest version, is that. And then as a second option, he would like to do it at Del Arte, but stay within the footprint of the property itself. And Cash has been working with our building official to make a determination of what the occupancy of that would be, and it appears that 750 is what's been agreed upon. And then his third option, and least favorable in his estimation, is holding CanFest at the Blue Lake Ranchery itself. So that's kind of where we started with, is these are the 3 different things. We then started talking a little bit about the permitting that would be required. The people that are at Del Arte are very new, and they were unaware that there is a conditional use permit that Del Arte has with the city of Blue Lake. They used to have to renew it like every 3 years, but the most recent one that we issued did not have a termination date in it. And it's specifically for them to be able to do what then was called the Mad River Festival. Now they call it the Bottomless Festival. And there's a whole series, pages and pages, of conditions that are associated with them being able to do the festival there. And again, it's very specific to the festival. And in our talking with them about conditional use permits and the fact that they have to have one to have that kind of a festival at their property, they did not want their conditional use permit to be modified to include other festivals. They wanted each of the other people to have to go through the process with the city to obtain their own permits. So after we got this map and I made this, I sat down yesterday with Glenn, who's our public works superintendent, and talked to him a little bit about historically how have we done road closures, what would he feel like would he be comfortable with. And so will you put up the next picture for us? Oh, okay, yeah. So you can see here in green, this is the very biggest that he would like for the city to even consider. So he doesn't want G Street blocked off. It still includes Town Square. First Avenue is only blocked off far enough to pick up the parking, but it leaves 2 lanes, one in each direction, for emergency access and for residents to be able to drive across town. It closes H Street, and it includes enough of the intersection that I think that they can set up the stage that they would like to there, and that it also still includes the Lager Bar. We brought the line back to the edge of the bike trail because this weekend they're planning on doing it is also one that has the Grange Breakfast, and so they need to be able to access their parking lot to be able to have people come in and out. Just so that you know, this is also the weekend of the Mad River Enduro, and so they already have turned in their permits quite some time ago and kind of have dibs on the field and Taylor Way to be able to do their event at. And so there's quite a number of things that are already going on in our city on this weekend. If we were to close both First Avenue and Railroad Avenue, what that creates is no way to get across Powers Creek except to go all the way up to Blue Lake Boulevard, across, and then back down, because there's only 3 streets in Blue Lake that cross that creek. So that has been one of our concerns, and the green will remedy that. Secondarily, we looked at if we were to do all of Del Arte as kind of a hybrid between Steve's first and second concept, where we would do all of Del Arte's property, but then we would only include the Lager Bar, but only include part of Railroad and part of H Street to kind of make it a more contained event that does not include Town Square. That's another alternative that, we were just trying to come up with different sizes of this for you to consider, because a part of what we're looking for from you is how big do you think is reasonable for a very small downtown area in a city like Blue Lake that's small, where residences are literally 1 block away. And this is going to be an event that has amplified music. My understanding is they plan on doing the event for 2 days. They will basically start in the morning, and at 10 o'clock they'll stop with the amplified music and the event will end. They would like to close the roads from Friday at 11 until Monday at 11 so that they can get stuff set up on Friday. They have kind of like I think it's like a VIP and vendors type event that's on Friday night that's not open to just the general public. And then Saturday and Sunday are both open to the public, and then Monday morning they'd like to do cleanup. One of the things that was of concern to me, because of some of the things I saw in your previous actions from your commission, is it appears the city has been very negative about cannabis within its city limits. And so I did a little bit of research. I wasn't really sure with the legalization of cannabis in general, what are the limitations on what can be done in public. And so I included them because they were informative to me. Steve has said that they have no intention of selling cannabis at the event, and that they don't intend on having a location that's specifically set up for the use of cannabis. But I don't know what level of restrictions the city would want to place on any conditional use permits that would allow for, people are going to bring cannabis and want to use cannabis there. And is that something that we want to kind of turn a blind eye to, or is it something we want to put conditions into the permit that provides some sort of restrictions and then has enforcement that goes with it? So that's one of the things I'm asking for some guidance from you guys on. The other thing is related to fiscal impacts. So there's quite a few permits that would be necessary. None of them have been turned in yet. There is a cost recovery system set up for the city. And it would be important for an event this size and the amount of staff time it would take to both process the permits, oversee the event, deal with everything that's going to go on with this, that we would need to do a cost recovery type agreement with them. And I would recommend that you create an initial deposit for that we can then charge against and refund whatever's left over at the end. That could also be used for any additional cleanup that might be necessary if the conditions of the permits weren't fulfilled. There is no existing rate for the rental of the town square. And that's one of the things that's on Emily's list to bring back to you guys for adoption in the next probably 6 or 8 weeks. And so whatever that ends up being would have to be what we would charge the event coordinator for the use of the town square if that was something that the city was interested in doing. So that's kind of just my overview. There's quite a few people here that I think could probably answer more detailed questions for you than I can.
Great. Does council have any questions for Jenny before we move on? Not yet?
I think, and I appreciate the overview. I was a little taken aback when you were like, I'm just asking for this level, like not to get into the weeds.
Yeah.
No pun intended, sorry. And I know that this isn't a cannabis event, but there's lots of things that we're going to have to consider and lots of, so I appreciate any and all feedback about it, but regardless of how people feel about cannabis, it's an event, it's a large event. There's, compliance issues that we need and enforcement issues, and there's lots of things that we're gonna need to have in consideration of this in addition to the conflicting events that are already planned for that. But anyway, that's just a brief comment about you just want the basics, but I'm pretty sure that we're all gonna
Eventually.
dive in.
Yeah, eventually.
Kat, do you have any comments? Okay. I'll just say, I found out about this back in December, and I was like, oh, cool, it's going to be Reggae Fest 2.0. Like, this is going to be great for the community. Can't wait to see what comes forward. And so, again, I think that when we saw the advertisements, we're like, is the city aware of this yet? Called city staff, no one was aware. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? So, it kind of felt like a hard sell, and something we have to deal with right now that could have just come forward in a more organic way. So that's just my piece right now. Who would like to come forward and speak to this right now? Steve?
I'd be happy to.
Great.
Thanks for taking time out to address this. I would like to start off by apologizing because I didn't intend to have a hard sell or catch the city off guard. I had felt that my agreement with Del Arte made it so that I could announce we were coming to CannaFest, and if we had to truly be within the parameters of the private space there, that we would operate within that alone, and if we were able to work with the city to expand into 1, 2, or 3 of their surrounding streets to incorporate more space, that we would do that. I just want to start off also by saying I did reach out to the city on multiple occasions in early December, around the same time that maybe you became privy to the potential for having CannaFest at Del Arte and in this town square. It seemed like the right move to gauge the community and talk to different stakeholders, business owners, other residents, and city council members to gauge interest to continue going further. When I originally reached out to the city, I was directed on multiple occasions to hold off. The city was going through some changes, the new manager was coming in, and there was a lot of, I wasn't extremely familiar with the political climate. I knew there were some things happening, but I didn't dive deep. I wasn't trying to get involved with any of the existing politics. I was just trying to fill out so I had filled out a special event permit and an encroachment permit, and I was holding it onto the papers from early January, late December, to bring to the city. But I was directed to talk to the city manager first, from the person I talked to on the phone twice in 2 weeks in a row, and then I tried a phone call again one more time to get through to the city, and I felt like, okay, I got an interesting, response on the phone, and it seemed like I was told, don't turn your paperwork in, you need to talk to the manager first. Typically there's 2 different ways to go about it. So I thought, okay, the city's doing that right now. So I met a few more times with the folks at Del Arte, and we came up with a plan on how to utilize the space there. I'm not sure if Del Arte was willing to or not willing to have us operate under their CUP. That was a conversation we had, but we didn't make a determination. We were still I was still looking to present some details to the city about the road closures and things. I didn't think I needed any permits from the city to have a music event within Del Arte's space at Del Arte. So if this gives you at least an understanding as to why I felt confident enough to announce that we were going to Blue Lake, that's what I have. You know, I'm not trying to change that in any way. I realize it caused some high energy and some things that you expressed, and then I guess once we announced, and I got a long, or a minute and a half or so message from Emily stating that, you know, this won't happen in Blue Lake, and gave some good reasons as to why, because there are a public process, but was very adamant about letting me know this will not happen in Blue Lake this year, and this will not happen. I was really caught off guard by that in return, so that just started the process. The conversation started off on that note, which is never a good way. You know, we bring the community together for CanaFest to benefit the communities we're in, and where we have the events. Typically, we've been invited back everywhere we've ever had CanaFest or other similar events. We always follow our conditions. I'm very aware of the process. I didn't think I was going to get that quite of a reaction from the city in that way. So
Steve, to your
Yeah.
point, I reached out and said, hey, I'd like to hear your side of things, but I want to hear what you're working on, like back in December. And you said you didn't want to talk. So,
okay, maybe I missed that.
because I was like, we can make a totally cool event, and was waiting to hear from you. And you told Del Arte you didn't want to have a conversation with me at that point.
Okay, maybe there was some disconnect there, but
Okay.
The idea was that, like, you had Cash was kind of letting you know about it and letting me know that, like, no, everyone's not saying no, get out of here. I was just trying to gauge a temperature from other folks in town as well. You know,
Right.
I went out there and measured anyways, so I apologize if that seemed like you reached out to me and I didn't get back to you, but I never got a outreach from you directly that I knew of, so I
Because
apologize.
Cash said you didn't want to have a conversation, so that's why.
Okay,
I think that the city did reach out to help look into what this was going to be, and so like I think having it come forward as it did was like kind of counterproductive to like working on it together.
understood. If the city, knew about it and reached out in December, if that's what you're saying, it sounds like the city knew about it in December.
The city did not officially know about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just saying, a minute ago, you mentioned that, okay. It
Point of
sounds
order.
like this,
Point
it
of
sounds like,
order, Mayor.
it sounds like the
Point of order, sir.
city did know.
Can we get to a point in this?
Sure.
I appreciate that we all have some kind of angst and emotion on this, but we really need to move forward in the conversation of what is the direction at this point. And I have to say on behalf of the staff, this is an extremely small staff. If you're going to be working with them, I think maybe extending an olive branch at this point. We don't need to keep flogging the same horse here, on social media, in the newspaper, at the podium. I just hope that we can begin now to move forward, because I think everybody here loves Del Arte. We want to see their success. And if this festival is part of that, we want to see how we can make that happen. But for moving forward now, let's just kind of keep it positive. That's what I'm.
Fair, yeah, I was just trying to help folks understand how we announced and what I experienced, because I think if I'm reaching out to the city and no one gets back to me, there's some accountability there as well. So I'm just trying to understand that. So yeah, CanaFest is a multi-day event. We did the first one 10 years ago at Redwood Acres. We had a Yes We Can community parade, and everyone paraded to Redwood Acres, and that's how CanaFest started. We did it 4 years in a row, and it went away during the COVID times for 3 years. And 3 years ago, we brought it back to Halverson Park. We had a great experience there, but we were building a festival too big for the turnout and bringing artists too big to fit on stages we don't even really have. So we decided to try to find a better place to do CanaFest, and we already had decided as well to take away the licensed sales and consumption, which is what we've done for the last 3 years, and there's just so much that goes into it, and it just didn't seem like that's really what people are coming to CannaFest for. Truly, people come to be together in a community festival with all the local makers and people from afar, and to see the music and enjoy each other. So that's what we were looking to pull off here. I've seen lots of other festivals in that same spot utilizing, maybe not all those streets, but two of those same streets, multiple years that Del Arte helps put together through like the Folklife Festival and the Budawat Festival and whatnot. So we were hoping to just do a similar thing that's already been approved and happens there frequently.
Great.
We weren't really trying to expand much beyond that, and I guess that was the goal, to bring the commerce here, to bring people to Blue Lake for an amazing community event. We also were hopeful that we could work with the city. We wanted to create a scenario where the city could financially benefit from having our event there too. We understand that's important and want to help build communities and contribute. So bringing lots of people here, we thought of a few different ways to present that the city could potentially benefit. Obviously permitting and coming up with prices to rent squares and stuff is one, as well as potentially using some of the city-owned spaces or some volunteer staff from some of the other organizations that would like to have contributions to help park cars. And for example, the last 2 years we worked with the McKinleyville Skate Park at CannaFest in Eureka. They helped park all the cars and raised a few $1,000s for their organization. So we'd hope to do something like that here, potentially either with the city or with the school or some of the bike programs. So those were our goals, and it seemed like a good place to do it. We're not trying to come in and upset a whole community of people and not be invited back. This was something we were trying to build to encourage people to come together for the things that they like to do on a beautiful day in September, or 2 days. We had, I guess as far as like the plan goes, like we had a backup plan to potentially work with the casino, and we also had talked to the casino about the potential of renting a field up there for parking, for overflow parking, to be part of our parking plan. We thought that could help, and that could have been, another thing, and maybe there would be some after parties up there. So we were kind of trying to tie that together and create some more, again, parking spaces. The technical scope of the festival, where the fences were, initially the one included the Grange. I thought maybe we could potentially rent the Grange out during that period or something along those lines. That's why we had the fence going that far. Just trying to explain that piece, and I didn't think we would have any negative. I know a lot of people, when I talked about CannaFest and Blue Lake prior to doing anything, lots of people said they're not real hip on the medieval fest because it kind of takes the neighborhood over and people are parking everywhere. So one of the goals was to find parking. That was one of the big concerns. So yeah. I could go on, but I guess I could stop now and see if there's any questions.
Any questions?
Probably
I have
sick of hearing me. So.
I appreciate you coming, and I think that one of the things that I would like to ask of you is to give the 3-minute overview, and I know that you've already given some really great descriptions, but I want you to focus on what the assumptions might be about what this festival is about and what it's not. And because I think that there's a lot of concern, and some of the contents of the packet indicate that there's ordinances about retail, discussions about retail, and I want to just clarify what this event is about and what it's not.
For sure, CannaFest is a cannabis pride festival, so it's about the community of people who have used this plant and grown the plant and had a commerce with it, to be proud of what they do. That's why we had this Yes We Can parade. So it starts there, but it incorporates all ages. We have a family interactive zone that we've had from the very first CannaFest, a stage that's produced for all ages. It was focused more on the youth, and we had about 15 different booths and activities last year for youth to engage with, and a bunch of young performers and folks on the stage there. We would have, in this case, we'd have a stage outside and a stage inside the Del Arte for music all day. We would have an area for talks and educational panel discussions. We won't be having cannabis sales. So farmers are allowed to display their cannabis anywhere that they'd like in public. There's no ordinance that I know of in Blue Lake specific that goes against that. I wasn't trying to change any rules. I know that there's a ban on cannabis activity and licensing in Blue Lake, and also a ban in backyard grows. If you grow in Blue Lake, you've got to have it in your house and get approved by the police and whatnot. So there are some restrictions there, but I didn't see any other reasons why we couldn't post CannaFest the way we do. So farmers are allowed to show a personal amount of cannabis. I think it's up to 85 grams on their tables. So anyone in the general public can walk up and see what farmers do. That's a law in California. And without a cannabis event license, you can offer that. With the cannabis event license, we would only be obtaining that license if we were trying to do sales and consumption. So without a sales and consumption license, we're not orchestrating any sales or consumption in that area by the DCC licensed authorities there. So I guess that's the scope of the CannaFest. It's a ticketed event. In this case, we were looking to have a really cheap ticket to be part of the street fair, depending on how big we could make it. And then for the evening show, we would have a little more expensive of a ticket to get into the Del Arte thing, because we've just cut the price back and back to try to make it more accessible for more people in the community, because it seems to be the way to go. We're trying to make a sustainable festival. We want to continue having this, and a price to entry was one of the barriers that hurt us with turnout, but we needed to do that to be able to bring in large groups and then build everything and all that. So we're trying to work with some of the existing infrastructure. A big goal, what happened in the beginning when I came to look at Del Arte and talk to these folks about working there, is kind of fell in love with Del Arte again. It wasn't my first time falling in love with Del Arte, but it happened again. And I thought, hey, what could we do together to help each other? It seemed like having more events at Del Arte was a goal. It's a beautiful building in a beautiful town. It has a vibe to it that I was hoping to encompass with representing Humboldt County to the visitors that come from out of town, and that warm home feeling that people get when they come to sunny Blue Lake locally. So
Great, thank you. So some vendors would be similar to what we might see at some other street festivals that we've had?
for sure, it's the same kind of vendors. You have your, Maker's Market is what we call it, or Shakedown Street. So you'll see maybe nothing different than you've seen at other festivals,
Perfect.
honestly. Just mostly people that make things or are craft or artists. We also had a big contingency of artists show up to do like a 1,000-foot wall over there in Eureka to paint it each year. And so we have a lot of artists that are looking to see, what are we going to paint this year, or how can we activate and be involved. So we have a great volunteer staff that helped clean up after we were there. We left the park at Halverson cleaner than it's been in 30-some years, I'm sure, because we were pulling things out of the ground that were rusty and old. And so we always like to leave places better than we found them. We have a green crew at the festival. People volunteer and get tickets to the show and help keep things green. And we try to work our best with as many locals that want to be a part of it as possible. And it does draw close to half the people that were at CannaFest last year showed up from outside of Humboldt. So, and we had on the biggest day when String Cheese was playing, we might have had 2,500 people total in the field.
Wow.
About 1,200 of them were vendors.
Oh.
So we had about 240 different booths which obviously we couldn't put that many here, and which each booth had 2 to 4 tickets per booth. So we ended up with a little over 1,000 folks that actually make the festival happen. We're scoping it down to move it to this location, but to still have a big feeling and a community feeling. We're more about trying to bring it back to the roots. And the first Humboldt Garden Expo we did was in Blue Lake, at the Blue Lake Rancheria. So our idea of back to the roots was just kind of touching on that. The first time we did this type of thing, it was at the Rancheria.
Thank you.
Elise?
So are there some cannabis-related products that can be sold that are not regulated? Or no?
When you say cannabis-related products, are you
Like-
saying like actual cannabis or like pipes?
No, like, I mean, like medicinals, like salves and different things that maybe don't have any THC in them.
I guess if products don't have THC, then they're not regulated. So
Right.
they're sold in grocery stores and stuff. So you
So there can be vendors that are selling that type of thing.
selling like CBD salves and things.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. And what's the range, the ticket range in price that you're talking about?
Well, I guess we haven't, fully figured out our map or where we're going to be. So the ticket price is hard to determine, and having yet to book anyone, because we had a little hiccup, so we pulled the brakes on booking anything for sure. But $25 to $40 possibly. We've had a weekend pass for $100 in the last year.
And how many people do you expect to attract?
It really depends on what our footprint is, but I would say, 1,000 or 1,500 people.
Each day or for the whole weekend?
I guess at any given time.
Okay.
No more than at any given time. If the Del Arte backyard area seemingly holds 750 people, and inside the building there's room for another 300 or so, and then there with the streets out there, could easily accommodate 1,500 people without being super packed. I heard that, I don't know what the numbers are for other festivals, but I've heard the Medieval Fest has like 3,000 or 4,000 people, but I haven't been to it. I don't know.
Terry?
Yeah, I don't have a question on that yet.
Great. Thank you, Stephen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyone else from Del Arte wish to speak?
I mean, sure. Hey, Stephen.
Thank you.
I'm this many, and I'm a little nervous. Y'all, I am Artemis Pebdani. I am the board chair at Del Arte. What's up, y'all? Hold on, I'm a little nervous. 1 second. I am new to coming back to Blue Lake. I was a student in 99-2000, and I know how much, what a big part Del Arte played in the town and in so many community events. Del Arte has not been doing well, man. We're hanging by the thinnest thread, and so I've come on, and Noah Bremer, the new artistic producing director, has come on to try our best to revive this institution that means so much to us. And a lot of the way that we have decided that we need to do that is to use our one asset, and that asset is our building. And we also though want to make sure that the things that are in that building and the events that we host align with our mission. And so much of our mission has to do with serving the community and having places for the community to congregate. When we spoke, let me make sure that I'm staying on topic. When we first spoke with Stephen about CannaFest, we heard about his philanthropic background. We've heard about the success of CannaFest. We've heard about him bringing people together with CannaFest. We've heard, this is a festival with a proven track record and a safe track record. And when he said that he wants to pare it down because he's ready for it to be like a tighter lighter festival. We thought that that fit right in line with our current mission. Now, in December, the initial talks were done with our special events coordinator and with Cash, a community member who is a smart, and also knows a lot about permits and things like that. Noah and I had not quite been in those discussions yet. We didn't get into those discussions and start meeting with Stephen himself until mid-January. So there were some things about the permits that I'm gonna be honest, Noah and I didn't know much about. And we were going to address that in a meeting on the Thursday after everything got a little excited. So when we talk about the options of how CannaFest was gonna happen, we weren't exactly clear on that, but you better believe we're clear now. There were three options, as you've said: the option to do the entire city, the option to just use Del Arte under our conditional use permit, and the option to go to Blue Lake Casino. Obviously, we don't have anything to do with the Blue Lake Casino. They're cool, though, on the record, they're cool. And so we, in our minds, what we wanted was the big blowout, similar to Folklife Festival, where the streets are also used. We also wanted that because we want it to be a big community event. So in our minds, that's what this is going to be, or that's what this would hopefully be. Something that uses those streets, and something that we don't just want to do it on our property. If we go back to the board and the board says, yes, just do it on our property, don't worry about renting out city streets, well, that's what the board says. That's not what we want, though. We want the community to be involved. We know that there are some hurdles, not to get into the weeds about it, but about parking and things like that. But that is something that, I don't know, don't we want to work on so that we can put systems in place so that other festivals can come later on, so that we can have more commerce coming in from outside, so that we build an infrastructure for that sort of thing to possibly happen? I know it's not easy now. Elise, you said that y'all are spread thin and strapped. Ooh, I know what that's like. That's rough. But I'm seeing people and hearing people talk about volunteers. When Kevin Fisher was up here, well, who's that guy? He's awesome. When he was talking about the skate park and needing volunteers and people to work together to make that sort of thing happen, that's what we want. That is exactly what we want. We want that activation again with the community and with us specifically. Let me just see if I've hit all the big notes. Yeah. Del Arte supports Stephen and the idea of CannaFest in Blue Lake. We really want it to happen with the cooperation of the city of Blue Lake and in the streets of Blue Lake. The option is there for us to just do it on our property. That's not my personal favorite option, but it's there. And if that's what our board votes on, if that's what we do, then that's what we do. That's not what I want, though. I want the community to be involved. I want Del Arte to be in the middle of the community and a strong anchor in it. Yeah. Thanks, Phil.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Cash Buja. I'm on the board of Del Arte. I live in Blue Lake. John, I just wanted to address what you said earlier about Steve not wanting to meet you. I have an email here from December 9th exchange that we had. It was a Tuesday, day after a coffee club. And we had an appointment with Steve. Sarah and I had an appointment with Steve to come and walk the building. He hadn't been inside. And he wanted to see the stage, the Carlo, and go upstairs and walk the site and go in the backyard. And I had mentioned to you at Coffee Club that maybe he's coming over, and I had an email from you asking if he's coming at 1:30. And I replied, and I have it here, and I replied, and I read it so that I could make sure I remember. And I replied, no, he's coming at 1 o'clock, but maybe we can chat at 1:30.
Right.
What is your cell number? And maybe you called me, I'm not sure.
I think it was a verbal conversation.
But I replied that he's just fishing us out, checking out the place.
Right.
To see, if Del Arte could be a good fit for him.
Sure.
And then when I met Steve that day, he said, well, he's already gone to City Hall and he's filling in his application.
So
there was-
he did go then to put in his
he
application?
had already gone in, and there's a December 8th meeting that I forwarded to you all couple of days ago that shows that there's an email from Steve that he went to City Hall to get an application and talk to the clerk. So, and what's the clerk's name was his question. I just wanted to address that.
Thank you.
Because of the comment that you made that he didn't want to meet you.
I thought you said
It
you
was
were,
a-
go ahead.
It was just because that was the time that he's fishing the place. Just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Do you want to come up and talk in the mic?
Can I speak from here?
We can get a mic out to you, but we prefer you come up.
My name is Ishay, and I have been here since 1999. And I am a second generation. My family grew cannabis, obviously illegally, and then legally. And I just wanted to say, when I was listening to Steve speak, I was, trying to listen through the ears of somebody who was opposed to weed in general, to smoking it, to consuming it. And I think what I want to really reiterate is that this is a festival that is not promoting weed smoking. And when he talked about youth, and he talked about, all these things that are happening for the youth, I thought, gosh, if I was somebody who was opposed to people smoking and consuming, how that would just really sound odd to me. Why are we, providing this area for the youth and trying to correlate it with the usage of what some people still very much consider a drug. And I just want to say and hold space that this is that, cannabis growers are farmers, and that there is a community that is really beyond consumption, and that a lot of this festival is supporting that, and it's supporting families. I have 3 children. I did not tell them to start smoking weed, and that's not what I promoted. I promote a healthy well-being of lifestyle across the board. And I think that's really, really, really important to note, that Canifest might be the overbroad word, but we're not just talking about the consumption. We're really talking about families and lifestyle, and so, thank you.
Thank you. And you're,
Thank you.
Are you with Del Arte?
No.
Okay, not a problem. I just had only opened up Del Arte,
Oh.
and then I'll open up for public comment. But thank you for coming forward.
Yeah.
Anyone else from Del Arte? Okay. I'll go ahead and officially open it up for public comment then. Yes, go ahead, sir.
Hi, thank you. Ken Hammock. I've been invited to wear a lot of hats in Humboldt and the region, and I'm here because of him. He's one of the first people I met in Humboldt and in Willow Creek. And he has been teaching me about Humboldt ever since I came here to deliver my daughter to school at then Humboldt State University. So we moved the family up here because of Steve's vision. And I've heard community mentioned. How many times have we heard community mentioned tonight? I've heard community mentioned maybe every other sentence. Steve taught me about community. And so Canifest, which I've been a part of forever, is one of the most beautiful communities I've ever been a part of anywhere in the world. You could look me up. I wear a lot of hats here, a lot of CEO, other things. But I'm here really to represent community in our conversation about Blue Lake. Blue Lake is awesome. Blue Lake Rancheria is done. I'm doing hempcrete. Okay, we're doing the next generation housing. It doesn't burn. I'm involved with those projects, but we're also looking at energy, and Blue Lake Rancheria is just a model for the country. Canifest is a model as well. Canifest is a community model, and it's about a plant. It's about a plant, and the plant has regulatory stuff around it, but it's still a plant. We're building houses with this plant. Mm-hmm. We're doing carbon negative things with this plant. So we're inviting Blue Lake, I'm inviting Blue Lake to be a part of this conversation and bring these people from outside the area, like Steve said. Many people from outside of Humboldt will come to this event. And by the way, the first day of the first year we did it in Eureka, the chief of police for the city of Eureka, we were talking at the time, and I said, hey, what do you think? And he's like, damn, I want more of these events. There's nothing happening here. The alcohol events, violence, arrests. He says we have to deal with so much stuff. You guys, there's nothing. Kids are over here having a great time with their parents. They're observing energy, which is art and creation and community. And they see all that and they go, wow, can we bring this back to our community in Southern California or wherever they came from in the world to come to Humboldt County, which is known for this plant, by the way. So the previous comment, I just want to say the farmers, whoever that was, thank you. Because we're a farming community here. And so if we forget the farmers, we're forgetting about our livelihood.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Camp.
Thanks.
Hi, my name is Yahida. I manage the Lager Bar. I also helped organize the Blue Lake block parties that we've had for the last couple years in Blue Lake. A lot of the layout that he's using is a lot of similar stuff that we have done to close down the streets in Blue Lake. And I believe our capacity of people has been between like 500 and 1,000 people that we've had. So there is something that is like, for if you're kind of in those same numbers, we have had something semi-similar to that. It's not been a few-day festival, but I just wanted to kind of throw that out there that the Lager Bar has benefited from it. Enduro is also something that we benefit from. So if it was a collaborating situation on a weekend, that sounds like an amazing situation for Blue Lake. It sounds like an opportunity for people to want to ride their bikes to Blue Lake to get to the CannaFest and to Enduro. And I mean, it's adding the Lager Bar into this, so I feel like there's a reason to have this, for me to have said something. I know that Michael Fields also supports it. And I just want to say that there are a couple parts of the streets that are being closed, that are, or at least are being thrown out there, that are a little bit bigger than that space. But I know that we have asked for that space in the past when the water park was just starting out. It just ended up being a really rainy May day, so we didn't end up going that far. But I know that that was something that the city did allow. So I know that we have 40 plus vendors. Sometimes it's 45. I think we've gone up to 50 vendors. That's including food. And we have lots of room in that area. Like there's usually like more space for a 10 by 10 of a vendor. So you'd be surprised how much more you can fit in that space for the amount of people that we've had. And if it's like still in that 1,500 range, like it doesn't seem that out of capacity for what we've already done in that area. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Yahida.
Further public comment? Yes, go ahead.
Hello, Guido Coliati. About a year and a half ago, I opened a gallery in the Del Arte building because I believe in what Del Arte has been and what it can become again. And I have bread stand out on the corner, across kitty corner from the Lager Bar. The first thing that I did in town was walk around in a clown costume and hand out about 500 pieces of bread for free to anybody in town who wanted bread. So the event that Yahida was speaking about, it was a great event. And it was supported by Del Arte. I'm very thankful that this town of Blue Lake has, adopted me. I love being at the center of the universe, and I think that Del Arte has a great future ahead, and I'm asking you to help support that.
Great, thank you. Lori, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Lori Ponte, and I'm more nervous than you. Because I live 1 block away on H Street. And I've lived here since 1991, so a little bit longer. And Del Arte was always great. The performances, people would come, the Priuses and all the cars and everybody with their big brimmed hats and, chairs to sit on. And Del Arte was flourishing. And I don't know if it was because of just the events that they had, or if it was because they had the students performing, or a combination. So Del Arte's always been wonderful, and I've always only lived a block away. CanaFest, I am not a supporter of at Del Arte. I think if there are some indoor performances, I think that would be great. The parking situation is bad, even when we have Folklife Festival. It may not be bad for the people that come, because they'll find a place to park. They'll park in the alleys, they'll park in our driveways. You know, it's kind of hard, and there is no enforcement. There isn't anyone to do that. There really isn't a place to have a parking lot unless it's out off of Taylor Way. And if there's another event going on, they're camping there. So parking is a really big consideration for not just events that are going on at Del Arte, but when they're going on for the Medieval Festival. It spreads out. And it's great to have events. You know, we have the Buddy Blues Festival that goes on. It does bring people in because we have great weather, and the music is always really wonderful. The community itself, the community that you're trying to create by bringing events in is not always the community that lives here for the whole year. So talking about community is really important, but I don't know that we're talking about the same community all the same time. And I would like to see it either in the park. You can utilize the area here around City Hall. There's more space. There's more space for vendors. There's more space for music. It won't impact the neighborhood right there on First and H and I and G. There's a lot to consider, and it's not just about being anti-cannabis. It's about how the neighborhood's impacted, because we pay the price for not being able to access our own streets or our parking. So thank you.
Thank you, Lauren.
Who's next?
I'm Jesse Dodd, artist and educator. From the moment CanaFest started, Steve reached out to me to bring my ideas around education around regenerative agriculture at the moment that permitting processes were happening for regulation. And out of that, we created really amazing things at the first event at Redwood Acres. I had the ideas of let's do rainwater catchment, let's build worm bins, let's build hugelkultures, let's do native plant planting. We have all these resources at Redwood Acres to do that. We built this incredible area that became a hands-on education area that grew each year. And after everyone, we had Steve put together lots of talks for the regulatory agencies, the Water Board, and all of the environmental practices that people had to do to be in compliance. And at the end, I did a talk that really brought everything into the actual practices and got to bring people out and actually plant native plants with Monty from Native Plant Nursery. Every year of CanaFest has been a positive, shining light in the community. I've one of the most safe and uplifting events where community gets to come together and learn and share with each other. Incredibly safe for kids. Every year it's gone smooth. World-class musicians and some of the best musicians from our local community all play together. In the last few years, Eureka has been so smooth. He said the numbers and people kind of gasped, but it was really chill and sparse and just really mellow, as well as being a really fun event. So I look forward to continuing to help in any way to bring that positive light to this event. So thank you.
Thank you.
Adeline?
And Del Arte. Let's support Del Arte.
September 14th, 2019. It was my son's 40th birthday party. And Michael Franti came to Blue Lake. Now, I didn't know who Michael Franti was, but everybody else did. And we had a huge concert out at Perigo Park. We dealt with the parking issue by having the casino have a shuttle, and they used their parking over there, so that wasn't even a problem. So I'm not going to get into the weeds about the issue, but I know that Blue Lake can make it happen.
Thank you. Yes, go ahead.
I'm Rebecca Collins. I live right on the corner of H and First Avenue. And I'll tell you, when the music plays at Del Arte and the festival's here, I open my windows and dance in my living room. And I get to look down when they're sitting there singing those Christmas songs, and I have it on, I recorded it, because it is the most beautiful thing to see everyone sitting down there and singing together and being together. And I live right there, and never has the Folklife Festival got in the way. I mean, it does impact our parking, so I would really like to see it turn out different, because they block our alley, they block our parking spaces, and there's not enough parking downtown to handle 1,500 to 2,000 people. Maybe that's it. Have it like Adeline said, have shuttles, bringing them downtown, have part of it down here. I don't know how it'll turn out. I've never been to CanFest, so, you know, I'm not for selling drugs in town, but it doesn't really sound like that's what it's about. So I just want to say I love the music and.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Yes, go ahead.
My name is Sarah McKinney. I graduated Del Arte in 2015. I've built a life in Humboldt County, and I love it here. And I love Blue Lake. Tried to find property, very hard, when I was buying a house. But one of the things that I want to say, and I work for Del Arte now, I'm the events coordinator, the events manager. I want to say that our strength there is collaboration. We are collaborative artists. We work together to create amazing events. That's what we do. That's how we build it from the ground up. We come together as community. That's what my degree is an ensemble-based theater. And one of my favorite things about that program was the community aspect of it, that we were required to go out into the community and create and to work with schools and to work with teachers and parents and children and create really amazing things. And I hear what you're saying about parking. It's a small town, and that's a big impact. But I think that we can work together to make this, I know we can. I know that we can work together to make this happen and to be respectful of each other and to find ways to make this a really positive event for our community, both Blue Lake, but also the greater community. This is a Humboldt County pride thing. You know, we are a community, and we might have differences and all of that, but the thing we have in common is we live up here in this beautiful place, and it takes a certain kind of person to be able to do that. So I feel from all of this, I feel really positively that we can work together to make this a really great event that benefits everybody. And man, just like Artemis said, we really need that with Del Arte. We need it. We need the boost. So I'd love to do it as a group and as a community. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yes, Stephen, go ahead.
Thanks, Stephen Coleman. And, you know, Blue Lake doesn't have a whole lot of economic engine right now driving it. And one of the things, you know, that Blue Lake does get known for is the festivals that we have here, Folklife Festival, the Blues Festival, the Mad River Enduro. I meet people from all over California who know of Blue Lake because of the mountain bike trails up on Hatchery. So I think any opportunity that we can lean into that to bring more people here to maybe help grow some of our local businesses, and anything that we can do to support Del Arte. You know, I'm missing the clowns parade around the street. You know, bring that back. I want to see that back. So, yeah, I'm in favor of finding a way to make this work. I think, you know, forget about any miscommunication that might have happened and find ways to have positive communication to build it up and make it work for the people who live here and the people who would come here and, you know, bring a little economic activity into our little town. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
My name's Eric Olson. I'm a resident here in Blue Lake. I've been part of CanaFest since the very beginning, been part of the parade that we talked about. I've also been part of quite a few other big festivals that are much larger than that. And one of the things that I've always been able to help bring to it is our concentration on parking, on security, on making sure that all of those issues that the fire department, the police, the city council, any of those issues that have been put forth, we make sure, like foremost, that those are addressed first. And that's why what Steve said, we've always been invited back to every place that we've ever participated within, is because our team, that's the number one thing that we do. So I just wanted to convey that as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lynn, go ahead.
My name is Lynn Glenn. I've been here 50 years, and Del Arte has been here most of the time I've been here, and I love Del Arte, and I want them to stay as long as possible, and everything we can do to support them. I think I have a lot of confidence in the city staff and the council and Del Arte and these guys. I think it can work. There'll be some details that have to be thought about, but we've done it before. I mean, we have Folklife Festival. It's not the first time we're doing something like this, so really support Del Arte and the city. I think it's a good combination, and I hope it goes forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Further public comment? Yes, go ahead.
Angela Dare. When I saw the ad about the festival, I got really excited. Was it a year ago or so? I was in the Del Arte building. Maybe it was for the Folklife Festival. Anyways, and I was so, I don't know, so more than sad, I don't even know the word for it, but when I saw the shape the building was in. So I would love to help Del Arte in any way we can. It would also help us. So I think it's a win-win for everyone, and I think that we should figure out how to make it happen. Sounds wonderful. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Angela.
Hi, everybody. My name is Malia Matsumoto, and I'm also a resident here in Blue Lake. I live about a block away from Del Arte, and I am impacted by parking during all of the other festivals that we have here in town. But being able to walk downtown to so many different amazing events from my house, hearing music coming up from the streets, being able to enjoy my town in this sort of way is something I love. The Blue Lake block parties, walking down and getting produce that I can cook in my kitchen. And I think this is another great event. Local artists who are here in town can have booths and sell their wares and support themselves to be in this town. And I know there's issues happening, but I think overall having these kinds of events makes people envious of people like me who get to live here and get to enjoy this wonderful place. And it makes them want to come back and enjoy our beautiful nature here, our soon-to-be bike park. You know, there's so much wonderfulness. Shop in our businesses, eat food in the businesses that are here. So I want to encourage everybody to continue to have these wonderful events that everybody can come and enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who's next? Yes, go ahead.
Short people.
Can you hear me? Okay, I'm Trisha Reel. I'm also known as Trish the Dish, and I work with Del Arte. I was a student in the Wayback Machine very long ago, and but I've been working with the organizing staff since around 2021, and we've really worked really hard to keep Del Arte afloat and improve everything, and still have community events, and we've had a lot of community events, and they have been getting better, and each time, because we learn how to be a more well-oiled machine. I'm really into compost and recycling, so everything is really labeled, and if CannaFest brings on this element, these environmental elements, I have a feeling that there could be some famous worms that could show up. And this would be saying, not just the not just the musicians are famous around here. So I just wanted to bring in a little bit of fun and also say I really support it, and I hope that the city and Del Arte can make it all work for the whole community. So that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Justin, thank you.
My name is Justin. I'm the president of the Chamber of Commerce. I gotta say, I have my concerns when I heard about this at first, and still have my concerns. That said, Del Arte has been one of the longest standing members of the Chamber of Commerce that we have. And boy, do I see the benefit that our community and our businesses can see from having an event. I have a concern that you have it on the same day as another big event. Again, a concern, but we've figured out worse things. So, with all of that said, if you'll have us, I'd love to work with you guys, making this come off. No matter how this event comes off, you stumble out of the gate. Small town politics, man. It'll get you every time. But if you'll have us, we'd love to work with you in any way we can, make this event beneficial for the community. So.
Thank you, Justin. Who's next? Anybody else? Cash, you gonna comment
I'm
on
going to
this?
speak as Cash Buja, not Del Arte. Is
Okay.
that okay? I do have a Del Arte story. Jane Hill used to tell me when they first moved here in 1974-ish, 75-ish, and the trouble they were having as hippies into town. And Michael Fields repeated his story at least 8 times, like he always does, about the bar fights, you know, that Del Arte students and staff get in there, the teachers would get in with folks coming out of the bar. So there was a lot of bias that came along with the clowns. So I first met Steve about 15 years ago with Humboldt Wholesale on a project that they were doing with a couple another Steve and Mallory professionals. And it was a expansion and addition of one of the most professional establishments related to cannabis I ever had the pleasure of working with. Beautiful people to work with, always on time, very professional, highly accommodating to me and us on the other hand. So what I'm trying to get at here is that I think it would be nice sometimes if we consider the professionals behind the shield of our potential biases because of the relationship that we might have with the word cannabis, and trust that we can collaborate, as Sarah said, to come up with a solution, maybe a smaller footprint the first year, but then next year a little bit bigger footprint, next year in Perigo Park also. And we have to remember that there's also a potential of questions in the community when it comes to Oktoberfest and the support that we have for beer and what beer does and all the beer consumption does and what happens over there. So these are all questions in the community, the biases, alcohol versus cannabis, and also the fact that maybe we can start small and then grow together. So that's just, I wanted to mention that as a citizen here in Blue Lake.
Thank you, Cash.
Thank you.
Further public comment? Yes, go ahead.
Hello, Tracy Stowatsky. I would just like to reiterate what Lori Ponte said. Perhaps consider having it at Perigo Park to start with, because it will be a little less impact on the neighborhood. You can still hear the music from there, because I know I can. And not all of it, but you could still have maybe your evening performance at Del Arte that you're talking about. I just worry about the impact of several days of the streets being closed off. And I know you're talking about making it smaller, but I just think maybe starting out at Perigo Park, you've got Prash Hall you could utilize, you've got the baseball field, you've got bathroom set up. Just something to think about.
Thank you.
So, it is Blue Lake Enduro weekend too, 11, 12, 13th. I think it's the 9th or 10th year, right? So that's the community we built. 240 racers last year from all over the country. So at 1,000 plus people, Taylor Way will be impacted, no parking at all. So in sixth stage is Lager Bar, and we eat breakfast at the Grange. Old Crows feed us and so on and so forth. So just add 1,000 plus people to 1,500 head count. And so parking, you have 7 months to think about parking. Just think about where are we gonna put 3,000, 1,000 cars. So we'll have to utilize a casino or something.
For sure.
And engage them.
Yeah, I did engage them about parking right out of the gates, because I knew regardless, to be honest, I didn't
And that would be,
know about this event.
and I think it was the softball game last year too. On Sunday was Glenn's daughter's softball game the same weekend. So it'll be busy. Town will be busy. Bring it on.
All right, next. Moving up to online, we have, I think it says Alan Clark. I apologize. Go ahead, Alan.
Hello, can you hear us? Hello, everyone. This is Alan Carlotta Clark from Blackberry Bramble Barbecue. And as you know, over the years, we did a couple of events, about 60 something in the last 25 years. And done a lot of other events throughout the county. And just want to let you know that you couldn't have anyone more experienced than Steve in there, or more proficient than Steve at what he's done. No one in Humboldt County even close. So we'd just like to give our blessings on the event, because we all know that if it's done right, it's beneficial to Blue Lake. And I reiterate that the Michael Franti concert went off really well there. That was about 2,000 people on Saturday for that event. And I think it went pretty smooth. I think the parking was well handled. I believe the casino and then that back lot was also used. But like I said, we got more coming in. So go ahead.
Well, I just want to add that I've lived here since '78 and have been involved with Del Arte as well. Want to support Del Arte and want to support Steve. And we live very close by also. We're about a block away from Del Arte, where our house is, and willing to have a little disturbance in the traffic flow if that's a problem. Does not concern me, because I think it's well worth it to have the economy boosted here in our town, and just wanted to speak up and support. Thank you.
John, I think I heard Julie. Emily, will you do me a favor? Nona is having trouble finding the raise hand, but she can unmute herself. So maybe before we end Zoom, we could jump to Nona. And thanks, Al, for your last comments there. Al's put on a lot of venues and a lot of events throughout the years. Very knowledgeable about the impact and volume of people. Got an emotional attachment to this either way. So my comments are just specifically like logistics of this. Considering that we have the Enduro, so there goes the parking at Taylor Way. That's already been a approved event. The next parking options obviously are working with the Rancheria. I think we should have had a very solid yes or no from them because it was going to be probably imminent that we needed that approval to park there and shuttle. So getting that back right away because that is going to be a huge issue with the parking. And going back to like like the rental of that, like rental of Town Square for this situation, rental of the horse arena parking area. That's ways that the city can get some revenue back because the businesses in town are going, the very limited ones, will see a little influx of business, no doubt, during this time. But honestly, the city itself, if they're not going to just charge for the use permit itself, could be charging for usage of city properties, and that could be negotiated. That's why I was hoping we get the Parks and Rec schedule fee get out there so that when we have venues, we kind of have that little asterisk that says, if you're going to use this for parking or overflow, we got these rates and options for you. But I think having 2 events in one weekend is great for attendance. And I think it's great for getting everybody in at one place at one time. But we have to just look at it realistically. Do we have room to fit all this in? Now, Del Arte mentioned, we could have it just at our place, but with 2,500 people, I don't think occupancy is going to allow that. So I don't think that's fair to put that on the plate, to be honest. So I think the council has gotten a lot of great input on this. I think the thing that we need to focus on is how do we help each other out? Del Arte needs some financial help. The city needs some financial help. So within like parking and extra space, I think we could work out some things. Thank you.
Jean, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Trying to navigate my screen all of a sudden. I was down there and I had a coughing fit and had to come back. But when I came back, I saw a Lost Coast Outpost article about the city and what is being discussed tonight, and I'm surprised at the all of the events that have happened before it even reached the council. And I was on the council when it was decided not to have sales of Blue Lake, of marijuana sales in Blue Lake, and that was because we were not sure of the outcome of all of the regulations and everything that was happening, and how it was going to affect the market for marijuana, and if that was going to affect any business that would be happening in Blue Lake. Well, we've had a downturn in the marijuana industry because of the taxes and such. It isn't, it was noted in Lost Coast Outpost that there's a lot of haters about marijuana in town. And that didn't come from the council. The thought was about whether it was going to be a lucrative idea for the city and the effects. So moving on from that, I have a concern. I live on Greenwood, and I always have a concern about the traffic. And I'm trying to figure out the amount of people that is going to be coming into town, and have to leave town probably at the same time, um, might need some supervision of the traffic coming up Greenwood and then turning on to Blue Lake Boulevard. And I would, at this point, with thinking about how large this might get, I would consider this a safety concern. So if we could look at that. So that's all I have to say. And thank you.
Thank you.
Winona, can you unmute her, I guess? She needs us to unmute her.
Hi. Hi, I unmute myself too. So I relate to so many people here. Blue Lake was definitely built around logging and marijuana, and we all know that. And if you lived here for a few generations, your family probably was built on one of the two. My family was built on both. And I'm not opposed to it. I'm not hateful. I just want to speak my support of our council and the decision that they have to make right now. I would compare this event to Indian Mary Day. Like, I think that's pretty fair. It's really big. I did go last year to to this event by the bay. It was huge. I mean, huge compared to anything in Blue Lake. And to know that there's another event in town the same day, I understand. I think what Julie just said, that's good for people. That's good in a way, but also it's overwhelming. And I just want to I'm only here to reiterate that we need to trust our council right now. We need to realize that the council has decisions to make that involve facts we don't have to consider. This isn't emotional for them. It's factual, legal, and responsible. And I trust our council right now a lot more than ever. And I think that we just need to realize this is not a personal attack on anyone. We have recently in our Economic Commission meetings had votes against marijuana sales. It's kind of contradictory. And again, I grew up here just like everyone else. Like, it's not it's nothing against it, but it's protection of our council, a protection of it is a legal aspect that we all don't have to think about that they do. And yeah, I really appreciate our council right now. I think you guys are doing such hard work and getting such a crap load of animosity for things people don't understand. And I stand with you guys, whatever you decide. As a sixth generation, we'd like, all of it. Like, it's not, that's not it. That's not the biz. Okay. But just keep doing your good work. You guys are working really hard, and maybe this could be an opportunity to plan better ahead and communicate better. And I will say that the ranch, if we do a deep dive in the what's happening around here, funding for Del Arte and the city. Okay. All right. Good night. I love you guys. Bye.
Thank you. Last call for public comment. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Noah Bremer, producing artistic director of Del Arte, and I also was a student here, 2001, 2002. I just want to say thanks for this dialogue, and I'm really sorry for the animosity that was created in the beginning of this, and anything that was perpetuated by that article that came out. And I personally want to apologize for anything that I have done personally, but knowing or unknowingly. My goal is to be part of this community, to have Del Arte thrive, and I am so overwhelmed by the public support that I'm hearing tonight. I was welling up over there, and I'm so grateful for all of you for showing up and having something to say. And it is, this is a big capacity issue for the city. And if it's not something that the city can handle, and there are, like the last speaker was saying, if it's not something that can be handled, that's totally understandable. But I do feel like it's important to be here, and I'm grateful, and I'm not saying anything special or moving, except for I'm thankful for this. I'm sorry it happened this way. The different jumping the gun, getting out too ahead of the gate. You had a great way of saying it. But yeah, we got off on the wrong foot, and I'd hope we can remedy that. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Megan?
Can we ask?
Sure,
Noah
go
a
ahead.
question?
Can you?
Yeah,
Can
you're a
you?
delegate.
Yeah, you and Steve both. Is the date that you've selected for this absolute, or is there any flexibility in what weekend it's done?
Yeah, that's a great question that I have to consider after the meeting for sure.
Yeah.
I would want to, I didn't know about the Enduro
Mhm.
event, and I wouldn't have planned an event on top of another
Right.
event like that. So I apologize on that front as well.
No, it's okay. I'm just curious. I don't know how much you have set up and if it's even flexible for you guys as in your
on our
facility.
end, there's flexibility.
The North Country Fair is the weekend after.
Yeah.
That's not here. Do you know what? Something to
We-
think about.
I planned it that weekend based on other large events, and I overlooked the Enduro event in Blue Lake when planning it here, so I'll have to reconsider approach to that. For sure.
Great.
Yeah, because one of the ways the city has the opportunity to capture any funds from this is the parking. And if we've already committed our only parking areas to the Enduro, that kind of pulls the rug out from under us on that.
And Noah's not incorrect. The capacity of staff is an issue. I mean, we just only have a few people.
Right.
I totally understand.
Yeah.
And,
I know you do.
And I think it's been mentioned already tonight that, that Parks and Rec and the city together have been talking about restructuring our event process. And we haven't done that yet. And that's something that's gonna take a lot of staff hours and a lot of council time to get that situated. So it's not like we can say, oh, here's where you fit in our, our plan or our rate plan or whatever, right? We don't have that. We don't have a way to move forward right now with a really big event. Not to say we can't try to come up with something, but we don't have a policy in place.
I want to go ahead and just confirm, there's no one else from the public who wishes to speak before. If you want to stay up there, you can. I just want to close public session. I don't know, you're in the spotlight.
Leave on a high note.
I'm going to go ahead and close public comment now at this point and bring it back to council for further discussion and or questions officially. Does council wish to ask questions or of Del Arte or anyone else? Or staff?
I'm just going to mention I need to recuse myself because my house is right there.
Okay, so you need.
Yeah, that's why
Okay.
I'm sitting here very quiet.
I don't
I'm
know.
just right across the street.
You do not need to recuse yourself because you aren't benefiting or being hurt any more than anybody else in public in that. I don't think this is a situation where you would need to
Okay.
recuse
I
yourself.
just
Yeah, I
wasn't
don't-
sure
yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure.
Every one of us could hit the festival with a rock from our house.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Anywhere
Don't do
from
it.
Blue Lake.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, maybe a slingshot and a rock.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're all gonna be impacted, in one way or another.
Okay.
But I think too, our job is to figure out how the city's gonna be impacted, how city staff is gonna be impacted, what we can do, how we can handle it. Is there an opportunity, for revenue to the city? The idea that this is a community event and it's good for the community and we're bringing people together and it's art and it's, from high school way back, peace, love, marijuana, it's great. Nobody can really argue with that. We don't want to argue with that, but what's the breakdown for the city? And you know, we've gone through a lot of these different events where we didn't make any money at all. And in fact, in the end, if we penciled it all out, we lost money. These events in the past have cost the city financially rather than helped us. So we really have to think this completely through, not just do we want to do it, is it a feel-good opportunity, but how are we going to make it work? Logistically, because we have only so many staff hours. I mean, I don't know what, like when Stephen said, you know, the city can do the parking and keep the money, but we don't have the staff to do the parking. We don't even have the staff to organize the people that do the parking if we get volunteers. You know, we can come up with some sort of a plan where we rent a particular piece of property to somebody else for a set amount of money and they deal with the parking and they pay us. Maybe we can do something like that. I don't know, I'm just kind of spitballing here. But when it comes to the city can do X, Y, or Z, the city just doesn't have the man hours to do any of those things. So, you know, if there's other solutions, other, you know, logistical things that we can consider, a different date so that we can capture, you know, some of that revenue. You know, I'm sitting here, my brain's spinning around about where can we put cars? Where can we put people? How can we make it work? With the Enduro there, we're really, really limited. You know, and then again, how do you keep people from parking in everybody's driveway? You know, I'm one of the people, Folklife Festival, I come home and I can't get in my own driveway because somebody's parked in front of me. You know, and that gets old. But, you know, I'm sure there's ways, you know, when something's really well organized, there's people out there not letting festival goers, you know, drive into the wrong places to park their cars. So, but anyway, those are some of my thoughts.
And Jenny, I have a question about the Enduro event, because they are camping that weekend down by Taylor Way. And I had heard they may be using the park. Is that anything they've approached the city about yet? Or, okay, so they will also be using the park.
Wow.
So, yeah.
But they use the park for a very short period of time, correct?
They've requested setup hours, but their actual event in the park is more constrained, about 3 or 4, their member ceremony.
Oh, okay, okay, so it's not too big event. Okay, I just wasn't sure.
Councilmember Lusso?
I really want to figure this out. I don't want to have these limitations of the two events happening on the same day and making that the overwhelming factor. If we are entertaining events, and we have permitted events in the past for other activities, it feels like this is a really great opportunity, and we have the advantage of being able to have a conversation with the persons who are involved in the planning and the commitment to, I like the cleanup, the green team. I appreciate that as far as, you know, making sure that you want to make sure it's cleaner than when you started. But I do understand some of the concerns. I just don't want that to be the barrier. So if there is a way, I would be all about, like, let's make this happen. If it has to happen on another weekend, okay, it's not ideal, of course, but if we can't make it happen, in other words, that's what I meant. If we can't make it happen because there's two commitments or another commitment already, then I would like to figure out a way that we can work together to make it happen one way or another, maybe not on that same weekend.
Great.
Yeah, that's all.
Councilmember Napier?
I mean, if that's the case, are we just gonna table this until we get another date? Is that what we would do?
I prefer not. I mean, part of the reason that I brought it to you is I'd like to get some guidance from you guys on how big do you want to allow this to be the first year.
Right.
And that's why I gave you the 3 different options, is to try to get some guidance. Because the staff is perfectly capable of working through the logistics and the issues and coming up with the conditions and working with Steve and Del Arte. But it just seemed important because of the magnitude of how big the request was that you guys weigh in early. Because Emily and I didn't want to spend dozens and dozens of hours setting all this up to bring it to council to find out. You were guys like, hell no. So that's kind of like, the level of response we're looking for is, yes, we want to do this, we'd rather do it on a different weekend, and we want to go with the yellow box or the green box, or, like, that's what I'm looking for from you.
Great.
If I may?
Yeah.
Noah, thank you for your comment and really reaching out. I think that is an important step in the communication, because this is an all-party, all-community dialogue that we have to have. And the two people sitting at this table really are the ones that can decide, what can or can't happen. And it's important that setting that aside and just moving forward. That said, the other thing is, it kind of comes at somewhere between rumors of my death are greatly exaggerated and much ado about nothing. Because I don't get an anti-pot vibe from this council. I don't see where it's been, let's go get them, let's stop the pot smokers. That hasn't been the energy that's coming off of this council at all. And so what it is, really, it's been a fiction created maybe out of past history or individual fears and concerns or biases. I think that there's been a lot of misinformation that successfully planting a narrative about characters on this council rather than the people who we really are. So, for myself, as far as, what, having the CanFest, I wouldn't be seeking it out. I'm going to stop it because, whether I participate or not, it's legal in the state of California. And how we would handle that here will just be a matter of what can we enforce, what are the ordinances, where is their latitude in that, what's realistic. But I think that whole energy around, this being a whole anti-pot, us against them, let's try to evaporate that. Yeah. And see where that common ground is. The common ground that I'm seeing is a love for Del Arte. Yeah. And whether it gets supported in some manner through CanFest or in other events, there's true love for that and a true desire to support it. And I ask that for people who support Del Arte and want to see that happen, please support the city staff and be accepting of the limitations that they face. It's very real. So that's my 2 cents worth.
Very well said. Yeah, I'm just going to reiterate what you said. This hasn't been about a plant. Nothing to do with this. That it's about collaboration. How we failed to collaborate proactively with each other as a community. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, the story got spun that we were anti-marijuana, we were anti-this, we were anti-that. This is a music event at the heart, and it's just a music event. And I saw no reason why it wouldn't move forward as a music event. So I'm hoping we can have a decent conversation around how this can proceed and in what way it will proceed. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, and I think that, Cash's point of saying maybe we start a little smaller, and then it can grow from there, so that the logistics of how that works out. Because I've lived here in Blue Lake, and, right there on the corner, I've been a neighbor of Del Arte for, almost 30 or 25 years that I've lived there. And I love Del Arte. I've gone to the performances and the music there. I don't have, I'm not opposed to it. So I feel like working together, but maybe we've never had anything of that big of an event in the downtown area in all the time I've lived here, and I've been in Blue Lake for 40 years. So maybe starting out smaller and then going from there.
Do we want to begin to direct staff on how we'd like to proceed?
I don't have a problem with the green or the yellow line. I don't like the red line. The red
Can we
line
get to those pages
is too
before?
ambitious.
Yeah.
We can
So
reference.
these I produced today. So
Okay.
she's gonna have to put it up on the screen. I can hand you mine.
That's fine, that's fine.
Because
Sorry.
I just was trying to come up with some alternatives, so you had something to look at.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And, as I've talked to different people at the city and tried to whittle through what the concerns are, both the green and the yellow seem to be something that we could accommodate. I have serious concerns, though, about the traffic. I do think that, the issues with Greenwood and that turn on Blue Lake Boulevard and where are we going to park people are all real. But those are things staff can deal with. We don't need direction, I don't think, from council on that. I just need like a,
Yeah.
we're
So,
doing go, no-go here.
And I appreciate
I think given the multitude of challenges that we face at a city, this aside. I mean, we've had a lot of new staff come on board. We've had positions that have gone unfilled for a long time. And they're not moving into a system that necessarily is ready to go. They're kind of having to redefine policies, revisit that, build their own infrastructure. So this is, and this is on top of some really tight financial constraints. And we're going to be going through our budget again. So just like Del Arte is having their challenges, so do we. So an area where I see like the Venn diagram where we overlap is, you guys have a building, you have a lawn, you have an event you want to do, it's on the footprint, it sounds like that could fall within, a permit that could be structured. To me, that seems really doable. I think that where is it, number 3, sorry, I took off my glasses, where it's on the Del Arte property, that seems really doable. And if I was talking about enforcement, of the use of marijuana, and I'm personally indifferent if you're using that on your private property. If it's in a public space, I think that might fall in our ordinance. But I think I think this event kind of what it's about, and if somebody fires up a doobie, I don't even if we had cops, I wouldn't send them over to shut that down. But I see that would need to be confined to within the Del Arte space. We still do have people in this community that some people are allergic, some people it triggers migraines, some people have negative associations with it. So it can be very fun and enjoyable for some, and it can be negative for others. I think just kind of dividing between the public and the private space, I don't have any interest in monitoring what's going on Del Arte.
Getting into some of the depths of that and the details of that, it could be at any event. This is not an event just for cannabis, and this is about music and product and plants and agriculture, and I think that if we tried to apply and control things at that level for every event that we had in this town, that would be somebody's full-time job, because just walk around the corner.
Yeah, right.
It doesn't even matter if there's an event going on or not. So,
well, that's one of the questions on here, so I was addressing that specifically.
Just support it in concept, move forward.
Can we,
Yeah.
Point of order, please.
Do you mind? Sorry, we'll just go right to left. I think I'm really not a fan of having big 6-foot tall fences around our city blocks. I think I'd prefer that those were around Del Arte, and that we blocked off the streets using other methods, and then allowed the public to, participate in this event as we have with the other block parties. Because I think that was really the spirit of those, was like community come together down at the center of the universe. So I think that if we can confine the closed area to Del Arte, I think that's an option, and then have it open to the public as we have before. Elise?
Sorry, I don't think I have anything else to add. I think I'm okay with, like I said, the green line or the yellow line.
Great.
And I just like it to be probably on a time when we don't have another big event in town that's occupying a lot of space.
Terry, sorry, go ahead.
You answered my question when you said it's 6-foot fence, so that's what I was wondering. And just a logistical question, if you have the house there on the corner, if you were going to go all the way around the corner, and each map, they are right next to the town square, how would they get to their house?
Are you talking about the one that's next to Stardo's?
No, the one that's right next to the town square.
Well, on the green and the yellow, oh, you're talking about the Hunsinger's old place. Yeah. Well, I think if we don't have 6-foot fences, that's probably not such a problem.
Right,
I mean,
it
they'll park out
wouldn't
there
be,
and
right,
just walk.
yeah, okay, yeah.
And on all of them that I drew, all of the red, the green, and the yellow on Railroad, it's on the outside edge of the sidewalk in the gutter so that people can walk. I mean, there's people that live there, so they need to be able to walk up there and come to their homes.
And we wouldn't be blocking any businesses, I guess. I'm just thinking about the Oyster Fest nightmare that happened the first time that things were fenced off. That was
And the same thing is true with the 3 properties that are across from Del Arte on H Street. you know, they all need to be able to have access to their properties as well.
I live right here.
Perfect, we'll block you off.
Oh,
Yeah.
Run.
But I think there's like, isn't there a spa and some different things along there?
And people live in the middle building.
Yeah.
Any other comments, questions?
So I think it's really important, I'd like to know from you whether we're gonna include town square or not. Because we need to
Okay.
set a rate for that and deal with that in a manner that the rest of it doesn't. It's not such a problem if we stay in the yellow area.
Can we leave it up? Can we evaluate at a later time, or is it a now thing that we have to evaluate the town square?
No, I mean, we can bring you back options.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it seems logical to me that it would be included just because of the proximity to, like, it's right there
Okay.
at the door.
And,
It should be included, in my opinion.
and if there wasn't the 6-foot fences, then it wouldn't inhibit anybody from utilizing it, or would it be rented for space?
Well, that's what I'm,
Vendor
I think
space.
would have to be rented as
Well-
part of the event.
So are you a hard no on the fencing, or what's the tally here on the fencing thing? Because it seems to me, if I was running this event and I couldn't contain the area, that would be a hard hit on my revenues. You know, I think Stephen's counting on the entry as a big piece of the revenue picture.
It's possible for sure. I mean, I've considered the different options of leaving the street open to the public or trying to fence it in, so.
And just
we wanted to-
ticket-specific events.
What's that
And
saying?
ticket-specific events.
Yeah,
Instead.
for the whole event, like a cheap ticket to get into the street fair, the whole thing for $10 or something like this, but then a more expensive ticket to see the headlining artist within the Del Arte. So I want to, create something that the community wants and within parameters that make sense for everyone. So I'm open to ideas of what that would be, what all you folks are comfortable with in the town. It's more important than my plans. My plans need to fit into what's acceptable from my perspective.
Sure.
Just from the whole scenario, obviously.
Any other comments, or is everyone good with a modified yellow at this point, or what are we thinking?
I have no idea what those mean, the
Here.
different colors.
I mean, the Del Arte, the yellow is basically Del Arte plus a bit of a street fair area and incorporating the Lager Bar into it so that they can be a part of the event as well. The green would be, quite a bit of bigger area. It would include rental of the town square. Also include the Lager Bar. And then, of course, we have the option of it just being Del Arte and not closing any of the streets.
It seems like that wouldn't support Del Arte very much if you were just containing it to that, so I would have an interest.
Well, your
in it
rental's gonna be the same regardless of whether the streets are open, right? For your revenue.
Well, would it be feasible for Stephen to just do it
Mhm.
at Del Arte?
Yeah.
So, yes, we could do it, and we'll still make the same money if the event actually came to us.
Yeah.
Considering this much smaller footprint.
Right.
What if you did like fenced in the Del Arte itself and keep your rental, like your things that you're buying your ticket for, maintain them on their property, and then have like some of your vendors that like the public can go see, kind of like a hybrid kind of thing. So where the public can just go up and buy from vendors, but if you want the premium of the artist or this one specific vendor that gets to be on their property, or then you have to pay to go into that location. That could be a modification you could do. That way you get your tickets for your premium things. Hey, you want this vendor? Sorry, you gotta pay to go in and see that vendor.
For sure.
That could be a modification that you could do. that could still get your tickets, but still allow the public to have, because they do the same thing with, not October, the Medieval Fest. They have things over in the park where it's free and accessible, but if you want to go into and you get like the food or whatever, you have to pay.
Thank you, Jesse.
I liked yellow, but include the town square.
Okay. Which,
That's,
yeah.
and so I don't see the point of the other extra Hunsinger property area, that other corner. I think that just makes more sense to me, and it still gives a pretty good space, and it still has the street areas for the vendors. That would be my vote, is that size, if that's helpful at all.
Okay, so like the modified yellow.
Modified yellow, yeah.
Cal, what are you thinking?
Hey, council, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh.
I need to bring a point of order here.
Sure.
You've reopened this for public comment, and I've had my hand raised, and I'd like to be able to make my comment because you take 2 comments when it already came back to council. So I think you need to afford the other comments that are online at this point.
For you, anything, go ahead.
So, full disclosure, I'm the chair of the Planning Commission, and I'm making this comment as a citizen. I think that you may, as a council, want to review the conflict of interest clauses, because this event does not exclude any conflict of interest. I don't have a dog in this fight, but I want to make sure that you're all considering that. There's been several comments that have been made that can open the council for some issues. And so I'm just going to leave it at that and let maybe Jenny guide that conversation, because I don't think, because this is a one-off event, there's any I don't think the conflict of interest goes away. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd love to ask him, is he concerned about the the position?
I don't know. I mean, do one of you guys have a conflict in regards to the event?
What would it be?
I don't know. You're going to be a vendor? I'm not sure what he's referring to.
So if you live within a certain distance, just like any decision that's made within the city, like as a planning commissioner, I can't vote on something that's a block away from me because it's within a certain distance.
Okay.
And it's within my sphere of influence, so to speak, right? So I have to recuse myself. That comment was made earlier, and it was kind of an offhanded comment. And so I think that it would just benefit the council and to be transparent. And if people live within a certain distance, which is fairly well laid out, that they need to consider that they're having a conflict if they have issues with traffic or any of those other kind of things. I think that, there's been a lot of comments made tonight, and everyone just got to be careful about it. And I'm saying this to try to support the council and support the city so that it doesn't come up later. It is hard in a small town for us to never have a conflict of interest, but we have to be aware of those things. And those are challenges that we always face in a small city. So I just want to make sure that everyone's clear that if you live within a certain distance and you're making a decision about a permitted event, that you may not be able to make that decision without a conflict of interest. And I'm not saying that anyone has it, but I think you need to check it.
Thank you, Court.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public wish to comment? I prefer we bring it back so we can continue our decision. Thank you again, Court. Pulling it back. All right, we've closed the public input. Anyone, do you
Can I
wish
ask
to?
questions?
Sure,
if
go ahead.
People are done looking. I'd like to get a feel, I mean, like you guys have thrown out some things, but you haven't really given any guidance as to whether the majority of you concur with some of the concepts.
Right.
So I'd like to at least talk about the fences and get some idea of if the majority of council is concerned with fencing off the area to where the streets would have public access, because I do think that that needs to be something that Steve knows, so that as he calculates how he wants to do this.
Right.
That's kind of a big financial aspect. So I know how John feels because he brought it up.
Council, fences? And Terry, if you do wish to recuse yourself,
And
it's up
then
to you.
We'll clarify that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay with fences.
You're okay with 6-foot fences and blocking off the street?
Yes, as long as it's, you know, not making things untenable for the people that live there. And I mean, yeah, I think containing the festival area, if you're charging admission, is something you might need to do. So I'm okay with doing that.
Michelle, fences?
It's not ideal, but I have to agree with Elise that it just makes more sense to be able to manage an area that's going to be charged entrance fee.
So for clarification, Kat, I'll ask you.
No, go ahead, clarify, please.
We would not be able to go to the Lager Bar during this event, is that correct? Because the 6-foot fences around the area? I'm just asking, because the fences were drawn around it, so I wanted to know.
Yeah, but I think it.
Yeah,
We haven't had a direct conversation about how that would work or not. This was just a proposal.
Okay.
And if she was okay with us building it that way, then we would take the next steps. It just took us to get to this meeting to, and to see what actually is approved or not to have to do. So when you're event planning, it's like a sequence of events that's complicated.
Okay.
And that's often what kind of causes to begin with.
Yeah, where the fences go, we can work out.
Yeah.
But whether we're gonna put 6-foot fences up or not is a kind of a big question.
For sure, for sure.
So do we have a 2-2 split then on, or Kat? you
Yeah,
have-
when Kat didn't answer.
On the fences, you know, from a practical standpoint, if you're going to have anything that's off-site of Del Arte's property, and you want to charge them for it, then you have to be able to either keep them in or out. But that said, I mean, is that really a community, building community, or we're just like, okay, well, you can come and see these vendors and you can do that for $20, or for another 30, you can come into the Del Arte facility. So it's about, if we're doing this for the community and for people to access it, then, you know, that to me is like no fences and no charge, because they're gonna be spending their money with the vendors. On the other hand, you have an event and there's overhead and all kinds of things for the
For
artists.
sure, I
so-
understand what you're saying exactly. I don't disagree in any way. There's just a lot of different ways for it to happen.
Yeah, if I go past Tippy, I may not believe it, so like, oh, this one, that one, this one.
Well, and if you're this undecided, I think we can just, you know, work some of this stuff out and bring back
Yeah.
a suggestion.
Okay.
In light of the actual locations and what's actually being proposed.
Well, and if you have vendors set up in the streets, security is gonna be an issue. And if you don't have it
Yeah.
fenced, a lot of people aren't gonna be able to leave their merchandise out
Yeah.
overnight.
So,
So that's a big concern too.
yeah.
Sure, yes, go ahead.
So again, getting back to the scale of this and what is manageable, and the first time out of the gate, this is a huge lift. I mean, the more that we go beyond just the footprint of Del Arte, it's kind of exponential, the demands and the need that we have to provide as a city or respond to. So, you know, whether it's scalable to that effect or not, you know, I think that's really gonna have to be for staff to be able to determine. I think one thing that, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I think one thing that we have achieved tonight is, I haven't heard anybody say no, Canifest. So, yeah. And
I
that's-
also think some of the issue about staff availability and the capacity that we have is different if it's on a different weekend than the Enduro. And so, to some extent, you know, we can talk about that and then figure out what the scale is that we can reasonably do if both events are on the same weekend.
Yeah. And there's, you know, there's the doing of the event, there's the preparing before, there's the actual event, there's whatever chaos comes from that event, and then there's the disassembly and then the cleanup, which takes not just the cleanup, but the processing, the paperwork and all. These are, that's a lot of big pieces there, so. That's a lot to ask of you guys.
As far as the footprint goes, it's not much different than the block parties. have
Mm-hmm.
been.
Right,
And
it's
it's
the
almost
number of
identical.
people, it's the number of people coming onto Blue Lake, onto its infrastructure, when we already have the Enduro that's happening that weekend.
Yeah, I'm
and
not-
others. So if it's another weekend, even then, this is still something that's been, that is, it's different, it's new, and I think that we've got to be able to defer to staff to an extent. I mean, I know you work with Glenn on this, and Parks Director, and see, how we can accommodate this. But it has to be balanced with impacts to the public. Clearly, parking is one of those. But that's for you guys to have.
Traffic in general is.
Oh, yeah.
Do you feel like at this point it's better for you to take what we've said and kind of digest
no.
it and then bring it back?
Yeah,
for a
I feel
more
like I've gotten
formalized-
enough direction
Great.
from you that, and this is what I did not want to make this level of a decision on my own.
Mhm.
And then us put a bunch of effort into it without knowing what the general consensus was gonna be. So this is plenty of direction.
Great.
Thank you.
So there's no direction, no
No
motion.
action, no.
Thank you. All right, moving on.
Moving on.
There's more?
There's more.
Yeah.
Suspension
It's
of
relatively
contempt.
quick. So
Okay,
this is more just informative than anything. Every year, we're required to produce an annual street report that
Thank you,
is
guys.
uploaded to the state controller's office. It is so that we can continue to receive the highway users tax account apportionments. And it's due on December 1st of every year. Obviously, I was not here at that time, but it didn't get done. And so when our accountant, Scott, at Jackson and Eklund, he had been on medical leave for a long time. And that's part of why we're 2 years behind on our audits and everything else that we're struggling with from the financial side. He said he was going to do it when he got off of medical leave in December. It would have been fine if it had gotten accomplished by the
Thank you,
middle of
guys.
January. But then about the time he started working on it, his doctor put him back onto medical leave, and now he's out indefinitely. Jackson and Eklund has informed us, which you guys know, that they're not going to be able to supply somebody to replace him. And so our new finance manager, she is working on this right now. But I wanted you to know that it had happened in case you heard about it from elsewhere. The suspension won't actually affect our bottom line because they're basically just holding it until we comply. And then as soon as we comply, they will give it to us.
Okay.
And I don't have any reason to think that we won't get it by the end of this fiscal year.
Great.
Okay. Just a follow-up question. From the moment that lands on your desk and suddenly you're aware, how much staff time does it take you to begin to unwind that and respond to it?
This? I probably, between calling the state controller's office and trying to work this through with them and figure out exactly what it was gonna take to comply, I probably have 8 or 10 hours in it, but Carrie's got a lot more than that at this point. In trying to figure out how did Scott do the reports previously and what reports did he run and what funds were they for and what GLs were included, which ones weren't and why. And there's just so much to try to decipher because he's been doing it for so long,
Wow.
like a decade. Thankfully, there are some work papers, and if you go back to 2023, that's the best place to find work papers for completed years. That's a year that has everything in it. So that's what her and I have been using as our templates.
Okay.
Great.
Good to know.
Wow.
Any questions? Hey, there's no public.
No, we lost everybody.
There's Justin.
Don't they care about this?
Done.
Well, it's so
Yeah, they-
important.
What happened? Stephen Coleman, he's funny. So
Aye.
what's the?
Next item?
Okay, so item number 16 is related to the Redwood Region Economic Development Commission's amended and restated joint powers agreement. And basically, I talked to Ryan about this. They have a conflict because they also represent these guys. So he had sent it over to special counsel. I was supposed to get an email response from special counsel by 5 o'clock today and didn't. I reached out to Ryan, I didn't get a response. So I don't know that we want to move forward on this. I would like for us to have legal counsel review it before we sign it.
Absolutely.
So,
Agreed.
yeah, let's just pull it
Yeah.
and we'll postpone it.
Do we need to make a motion for that?
Sure.
If you'd
We'll
like
just
to.
continue it to the next
Yeah,
meeting.
we'll bring it back on February 24th.
Can I just say something? When I went to that meeting, they just said that they, because this is important, it sets up the whole dynamics with everybody being on the board and what their jobs are and how the city is involved and all the different places are involved. And they do need to have this by March.
The end of March, right.
Yeah, the end of
And they
March.
need the
Okay.
minutes too. And so I think if we do it on February 24th and then we adopt the minutes at the March meeting, we should be good.
Okay.
That's the plan. And I also don't think there's a lot of changes between this one and the one we already executed, but I wanted an attorney to say that, not me.
Yeah.
Good call.
Oh, come on.
I am not an attorney
It's not
today.
new.
Awesome.
No.
All right. Item number 17.
Yeah, I just included this because we had a situation where a public works staff had gone out and trimmed a tree literally back to the trunk. And it was like a 20-year-old tree. There's a stop sign there. They were trying to make it to where you could see the stop sign. The people were very upset. They had planted that tree 20 years ago in the bulb out. So Jill had initially talked to them and she's like, well, if you get another tree, then you can plant it there. And so then I went out and looked at it with them, and the tree they picked was already as tall as the stop sign. And I said, you can plant that if you want, but we're gonna come out every year and trim it so you can see the stop sign. Well, they weren't happy about that. So I offered to go ahead and reimburse them for the tree. And then we had Coastal Tree come out and they ground the stump out that was left. And they have now purchased this very beautiful rhododendron. Her and I talked about things that would stay the size we needed them to and that we could keep a manageable size in a bulb out. And so she was very pleased with, at the end, she was very upset at first, but in the end, she was very pleased. So she sent a letter. So that's all this is.
Good job.
Did the way they found out was just they showed up and they started cutting the tree?
I think it was already cut by the time they got there.
Oh, okay. So yeah, even though it's not technically on their property. and
No,
people
it's
claim-
in the right of way.
Yeah.
It's a street tree,
But it's
they
something
were
that-
attached to it.
Is it unreasonable to think that in the future, we could make contact with the homeowner if some event like that might happen?
We can. I mean,
In
the
all their
guys
spare
just
time?
kind of go along doing maintenance. He just got a little carried away. He needed a little more supervision is what needed to happen. But now we do have the street tree that we've paid for, and I'm thinking about putting it in front of your house in the little bulb out.
Oh, yeah. 'cause
It's a nice
this
little
one.
tree.
What kind is it?
I'd have to
You
look.
can't vote on it.
Yeah.
You can't
Yeah,
vote on
she
it.
can't vote on it.
Stop.
Oh, okay,
I
guys.
can't
this is
what?
We weren't
we
making fun court.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, because I was looking around for bulb outs that needed a tree, and that one's empty. And so
Oh,
we're
good.
looking at there, and then also at the town square. We were trying to find a place to put it there, but there's no holes there to be able to plant a tree. You have to get
Yeah, no.
a planter.
Right.
Oh,
Hey,
It's not set
Yeah.
up for trees.
Oh.
I forgot that we had Zoom. Do we need to? Did anyone have any comments on the suspension of Huda?
Oh, yeah. We just have Court and Julie, and nobody has their hand up, it doesn't look like. So, yeah, that's the,
Okay.
thank you, Jenny and Glenn letter.
Great.
Thank you.
Any comments on the agenda letter or the council correspondence? Seeing none? Okay, moving on to future agenda items requested by council. Does anyone have any future agenda items?
Canifest.
It will not come back for a bit. I mean, we need to work some of this out. I would like to see you guys adopt some fee structures before we bring it back,
So
because we
can-
need to know what town square is gonna cost.
Yeah, can we just remember that if we're doing future agenda items, they're not discussion? So somebody
Actually,
can- or-
that's,
is
I
that-
looked at that since
Oh,
that
did-
was
is
said
there?
last time,
Okay.
and it's,
Okay.
you actually can, you can ask me questions and I can answer it about
Okay.
a future agenda item. You just cannot make any decisions. There's absolutely no, like, direction you can give me.
Okay.
Yeah, I can answer your question.
Okay.
And you have the
Um,
future agenda items list I've given you already.
I do.
So we have all
Yes.
those from before.
Yeah.
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 And just to clarify, we have no plan to have a special meeting in
March at this point.
I've
It
heard
would
that
be special
before.
not to have one.
Let's do it.
It would
Let's
be.
be special in
It's a
that way.
goal.
Okay.
Well, and you're gonna be starting work on budget stuff too, like
Right.
gathering and all, so.
Okay, so, yeah, I think at best cannabis will come back in March.
Are
We'll
there
see
any
how the fee structure goes.
training, things that we need to discuss for planning commission stuff or for our new city clerk? Are there any things that we need to explore or that you need from us?
So I sent you guys an email asking about your availability for that training on the Insurance Risk Management 101 that they'd like to do here that evening. When I talked to him yesterday, he said that they could do it at 6:30 instead of the 5:30 they proposed because some people couldn't make it that early. But as long as we're interested in doing that training, it will happen on that day. The city clerk will have a whole host of training that she'll do. I believe that it's too late to sign up for the city clerk's conference this year because, it fills up really fast and they're sending stuff out now for something that's like next December for city managers. So
Wow,
they're
okay.
pretty far in advance.
Okay.
But yeah, no, we'll definitely get her some training. And there's a lot of training online that I think we'll start with.
Okay.
Well, on that note, and I think I kind of had brought it up last time, and I know that this is an employee that's kind of, housed under council and with the city manager. Do you want any assistance or participation from council, a council member, an ad hoc, or any other form of support? Whether we just take a particular topic and work with her, or are you, you got it right now and you can get back to us, or?
I think for now I have it. I feel like there's some really specific things that we want to get her up to speed on that are related to commissions and doing the council packet and doing minutes and just getting her familiar with all of the duties that she has and where to find the things. I mean, just finding files, both paper and electronic, is a learning process.
Yeah.
And so once we kind of get past that initial, that might be a more helpful thing.
Okay, great, yeah, we just didn't want to abandon you with this, but it sounds like you've got a great plan going with it.
Yeah.
so.
And we had a staff meeting today amongst all of the City Hall staff to try to walk through who does what, where had these things gotten divided out to, who had the files that needed to come back, with Melissa leaving, who's gonna cover all the tasks that she does. How are we gonna get the 2 jobs that need to be filled flown? And so we really are doing like a regroup and trying to deal with her coming. And we wanted to have it in place, so when she arrived tomorrow, we kind of had some answers.
Yeah.
So no, I think we're looking pretty good for now. I do think that we will be coming back either as part of the budget structure or even maybe before that to talk about modifications to the structure of the finance department.
I do have a thing about a future agenda item. I know some cities have a afternoon, and I had brought this up before, where the city office is closed to phone calls or people coming in. And maybe that would be a way that could assist with some of the training hours or staff meetings, those kinds of
I'm glad
things.
you said that, because we were
it's hard
talking
to
about the
keep
same
this.
thing.
Yeah, and so I'd like to see that opportunity
Yeah.
for the city to have an afternoon once a week that would allow them the time to do that. And the city would get used to it.
Like admin time?
And and time for staff.
Well, I think Fortunate is closed on all of the Fridays. More and more cities are going to that.
Mhm.
And that was one of the things we were talking about is the duties that are required on Friday because you're closing out the entire week. Like trying to do those while the public's coming in and out and you're answering the phone and you have money all over the table. And like how nice it would be for Fridays to be one of the days that people don't come in and then staff could finish out the weekly tasks
Right.
uninterrupted. So those are some things that, yes, I
Yeah,
would
I'd
like to
see
bring back
that
as
on a future
concepts, yes.
Agenda item, that might be helpful.
I think we're probably going to be coming forward with our commission recommendations at the next meeting.
You'll be ready on February 24th?
Yes.
Okay. Do you need anything from staff for that, or the ad hoc committee
I
has
think
it?
Go ahead.
Well, because I don't know that we really could or could not do this. Lynn Glenn made a really good suggestion tonight, and I'd spoken with her, I think a day or so ago, about, she brought up the commissions. And so soliciting input from the actual active commissioners that we have right now on just like what are their ideas, you know, what their thoughts are with difficulties in establishing a quorum, or what it might look like in combining any of the commissions, looking at the workload that was on staff, what could possibly the commission do. So again, this is like pushing it over to you, but maybe a questionnaire sort of soliciting some of those things that we've identified as issues.
That's the city clerk job.
There you go.
Yeah.
I have a not my job stamp. I'm gonna put it on that one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Get in a
But
mo-
no, I mean, that's exactly the kind of things that I think we want to have her
Okay.
start doing. Because she's
Yeah.
supposed to be overseeing all the commissions
Yeah.
and the council meetings, so.
And I think we wanted to have a sit down with Emily if we were potentially going to be combining. Anyway, I don't want to talk too much.
Yeah. Mhm.
We're going to have a conversation with Emily.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
So is that a yes or a no for February 24th? If you want to do an inquiry, that takes some time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're adding a whole new thing, so I don't know. Anyway, we can't talk about it right now.
Okay.
It's gonna.
I'll put it on
we'll-
as tentatively moving.
Tentatively for the 24th.
Okay, got it.
I would really like it if we could have the, a sheet added to the packet that lists all of those agenda items that we have on the calendar. So that at 10:30 at night, when my mind is done, I don't have to try to remember what I'm supposed to tell you about a future agenda item that I can't remember.
So on a lot of the agendas that I've done in the past, this actually is filled out by staff with things that have been brought up in the past, and they're just bullet points, and you kind of select from them and add to them. We can happily do that if that's what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Be
or,
great.
I mean, I was thinking about the spreadsheet that John created, if there was a printed version of that.
With all the things taken off that are either done or.
Yeah, like what's still on the docket kind of thing. And if you have it, like you just have a bullet points and you could have a month next to them where we know those things are coming. And that way we're not just sitting here going, duh, what do we want to do next?
Yeah, I mean, I can go through that for sure. One of the things I noticed on there is there's certain items that were on there and then they said they were done, and then they're on there and they said they were done, and now they're on there again and it doesn't say they're done. So I don't know if that means we need to revisit them or.
Are you talking about the one I gave you?
Yeah.
We can go over it together. Like,
Okay,
I'll
let's
remember.
do
Like,
that,
it's-
because I was like, huh.
There were sometimes, I think what happened was like, what Elise was talking about, and was that we would, I would put it on there because somebody would bring it up at the meeting and then come up at the next meeting, so we put it on there again.
Put it on there,
Just
okay.
poor management.
No,
anyway.
it's okay. I just wasn't sure. Once it said completed, I thought, I wonder what was incomplete that it got on there again. So let's just sit down one day and talk about it. Okay.
In our free time.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Adjourn.